June 4th, 1989. By order of the Chinese government, the Chinese army moved into Tiananmen Square in Beijing to break up an anti-government protest that was in its 6th week. Using tanks and automatic weapons, the army violently cleared the group of protesting students. The university students, numbering in the thousands, had occupied the square since mid-April. In that time, they built a giant plaster statue they had named the Goddess of Democracy. Inspired by America's Statue of Liberty, the goddess became the symbol of the students' protests. Their calls for democratic reforms in China had gone unheeded, but were certainly being heard. The old hardline communist leadership had grown tired of the students' calls for new freedoms. The leaders were not going to let the students' protests further embarrass them or the government. First, they ordered the Chinese army to encircle Tiananmen Square. Then the army's troops and tanks were sent in to end the pro-democracy demonstrations. The army forcefully removed the unarmed students, killing hundreds, perhaps thousands. BBC reporter Kate Adie made this chilling eyewitness report.
From Tiananmen Square, the sound of gunfire sounded like a battle, but it was one-sided.
The troops have been firing indiscriminately, but still, there are thousands of people on the streets who will not move back.
The bicycle rickshaws scooped up the injured. Others were shunted onto bikes and pedaled to hospital.
The number of injured continued to climb. Ambulances were unable to get through to the square. The army turned them away. Casualties had to be carried into the hospitals by bystanders.
After hours of shooting and facing a line of troops, the crowd is still here. They're shouting, "Stop the killing and down with the government."
A huge volley of shots just as I left the front line caused panic. The young man in front of me fell dead. I fell over him. 2 others were killed yards away. 2 more people lay wounded on the ground near me.
The military operation in Tiananmen Square continued throughout the night. In the morning, more troops poured into the square to remove the remaining students. It became obvious that the openness that had swept through the Soviet Union was not going to come to China quite yet. One last demonstrator came to symbolize the students' protest when he stopped a column of advancing tanks by just standing in front of them. His courage in the face of almost guaranteed retribution showed the world in that one moment what the students were fighting for. He even climbed onto the lead tank, hoping to persuade the commander to turn back. When that didn't work, he once again stepped in front of the column. The June 4th, 1989 crackdown succeeded in removing the students from Tiananmen Square, but neither the army nor the communist government could remove the growing desire for democracy from the people.